Hello and welcome. Cultural diplomacy is an important dimension of a country's soft power. The impact of India's soft power was felt long before the term was even popularized in the 21st century. Indian arts, culture, spiritualism have attracted people from all around the world for centuries. Now, under Prime Minister Modi, the new philosophical core of India's foreign policy can be defined as the Panchamrut policy. The 5 pillars are Samman or dignity, Samvad or dialogue, Samriddhi, prosperity, Suraksha, security, and finally Sanskriti or cultural linkages. Now, Sanskriti or culture is one of the themes of the TV9 Global Summit. India poised for the next big leap, Neha.
India poised for the next big leap indeed, Sandeep. Well, we are doing a series of special shows in the run-up to the big News9 Global Summit that's coming up this weekend. And on this particular show, we are going to highlight one of the big themes of this Global Summit, which, Sandeep, is India's soft power and smart power. Now, as you mentioned, that, this is something that the world has seen for a long time now. But I certainly believe that the one big leap that India did take on this front was last year with its G20 presidency. A lot of people felt that that was India's big moment in the sunlight. And India made the most of this opportunity because, the USP of that 1 year when India held the G20 presidency was that it was unlike any other. And this is something that's been acknowledged by all the visiting dignitaries who came to India. The government of India went out of its way to sell it as a people's presidency. It wasn't just a bunch of world leaders coming together and talking about, global relations. This was actually an opportunity for the people of India to get involved.
Absolutely.
The government decided to take it to small towns, small cities. They
Starting
were massive,
with Jammu and Kashmir.
including Jammu and Kashmir,
Yeah.
a place where you couldn't have imagined an international event on such a scale taking place with global dignitaries coming. And that was India's true, cultural heritage and smart power on display. If I could just bring in my colleagues Kartik Malhotra and Kartikeya Sharma into this conversation at this point. Kartik, if I could come to you. As Sandeep rightly pointed out, India's soft power is something we've talked about for eons now. For a long time we've been saying Bollywood has been India's biggest cultural export. Look how popular it is, how big India's cinematic stars are, from Raj Kapoor to Amitabh Bachchan to Shah Rukh Khan. But now we're at a stage where we've gone far beyond just Bollywood being popular or, us being a major cricketing power in the world. We've gone way beyond that in the Modi era, haven't we?
I think there are a couple of issues here. One, what is a soft power? Is it a product or a process? One, do you pursue soft power consciously? There are people who believe that Modi's answer or Modi's approach towards soft power is a little bit like smart power, a bit of hard power and a bit of soft power. The book which Jaishankar wrote, there was a very smart line which said that we prepared for the change in Delhi, and I was asked to take care of the arrangements for the rally which took place in the stadium. But the message was, and now you see, we see the soft power just in context of diaspora and Indian audience. The message from the Prime Minister's office then, or before everything was finalized, that it should make noise in Washington first and then in Delhi. So he utilized soft power differently. So I would say that yes, India has been practicing soft power even before Prime Minister Modi, Nehru, Bandung Conference, democracy, the third world, Africa unity. They have been part and parcel of soft power. But I think what we have excelled in context of non-hard power is that we are only sending boots on the ground when it comes to UN. But we don't do that by making allies or through alliances or through strategic partnership in which boots are required. So Indian soft power process is slightly different from other countries. It's just not cinema related. It's more about schools, it's more about building of dams like Salma Dam in Afghanistan. It's like building hospitals, or for example,
Or even the parliament in Kabul.
yes, Parliament in Kabul, or taking care of Angkor Wat through ASI.
No, in fact, Kartikeya, as we are speaking, there is an Indian delegation that's flying into Bangkok with the relics of the Buddha. There's a special pavilion being built there in Bangkok to exhibit these relics for a month, and that was done at a special request of the Thai government and possibly the king himself. And we know the deep cultural connect between India and Thailand. So that's a very big impact of our soft power. And literally, like you mentioned, we've been soft powers for we've been a soft power for centuries.
Absolutely. You see, that is Ramayana and Buddhist circuit, the cultural issues. But soft power is, I would say, is a complex process, because soft power also has its limitations. I know we are, our topic is to approach the possibilities of soft power. But soft power also has its challenges. And the challenge is, soft power does not alter the behavior of your neighbor. How much we did for Afghanistan did not alter the behavior of Taliban. How much we did for Nepal did not alter the behavior of the Nepalese government.
They might the Taliban might love Hindi films and K3G and all, but they
Yes.
that won't stop them from launching a suicide bomb attack at our embassy in Kabul.
Kartik, I was wondering, what your thoughts on this are. We're talking about how India has always been big on its soft power, but have we fully leveraged it? Yes, for example, today the United Nations and countries around the world observe the International Yoga Day on the 21st of June at the initiative of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Great win of our soft power. But do you believe that we've fully leveraged it?
So, Neha, what I'd like to add here is primarily something which all of you have already spoken about. And I think this confluence of soft and hard power, which Kartikeya rightly called smart power, is something which we have to look at it in its entirety. You cannot really have soft power as the only weapon in your arsenal to win popular opinion within India or outside India. Similarly, you can't have only hard power and pretend like, let's say, Putin, or pretend like, all other dictatorship countries out there, that as long as you have the military muscle or you have the economic muscle or both of these, you can go ahead and win every battle. I think the battle of opinion is what soft power endeavors to win for a nation or for a community or for a leader. Now, coming specifically to Prime Minister Modi, I think if I can inject a little bit of humor in this conversation, good old days, Jerry Maguire, you had me at high. I think for me, the biggest exposition of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's sort of leveraging of soft power was he had me at Mitron.
Right.
I mean, how often do we really see state heads, leaders of countries as diverse, as vast as India, to refer to countrymen as friends?
Yes.
So I think at some point we've got to see that there is, of course, Prime Minister Modi's own charisma, his own aspirations for the country, and his own exposition and expression of those aspirations, and really talking to the community. As a student of marketing and communication, I think at some point any leader who takes to a dais at any point wants to drive home a communication which very clearly tells the person who's the receiver of that communication what is in it for them.
Yes.
And what is in it for them, the answer is not always military hard power. The answer may not always be an economic benefit, but the message that you want to showcase is that, yeah, I'm a leader, or I'm a government, or I'm heading a government which is there working in your interest. So soft power plays out as well domestically as it plays out internationally. You mentioned Raj Kapoor, Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan. I think in the last 10 years, we've seen the only symbol of India's soft power being exposed globally is not Amitabh Bachchan, late Raj Kapoor, or even Shah Rukh Khan right now. There is just one name which is resonating with the diaspora and with anybody outside of the diaspora internationally, and we know what that name is. That name is M-O-D-I, Modi.
I agree.
Modi, absolutely. No, it's good points there, Kartik. The fact that there has been a deliberate attempt on the part of the government and of Prime Minister Modi to channelize this soft power, in reaching out to the diaspora and to the foreign countries. Earlier, there was never this thing. Like in the 60s, let's not forget the hippie movement. You've had Maharishi Mahesh, yoga and all of that. nothing on the part of the government. It all happened by itself.
See, government thought of soft power. That is why we had Indian Council of Cultural Relations. So it's not as if the soft power was not there. I think there is
more cultural diplomacy, I think it was
called. In 50s, 60s and 70s, you had soft power in context of what government wanted to do. And then you had independent entities like Bollywood, classical music, Spickmaker doing something.
Don't forget the concert for Bangladesh in 1971.
Or 80s under Indira and Rajiv Gandhi, where
Festival of India.
The Festival of India. I think there is a...
Or the Beatles being influenced by...
But that is completely non-government approach. That was by itself.
But that's more part of, the way West framed in India, like a she, oriental, timeless, exotic, changeless, non-material,
and I would say it was seen as the land of snake charmers.
Snake charmers and elephants.
Though Prime Minister says, now Prime Minister has about, he said we are mouse charmers, we are not snake charmers. So, that's more of Orientalism. But I think the largest shift which has taken place under Prime Minister Modi is, under Nehru, which was continued by Congress, was more around the symbols of Ahimsa, Gandhi, and primarily democracy. The shift, the content shift under Modi is India being a civilizational state. Now, that content is being reflected through various things. That content is being reflected through yoga. That content is being reflected through places of tourism that are being promoted. Every tourist circuit is being promoted. But there's a special emphasis relationship with Kashi, that cultural relationship. And the push that India is a old nation, a young country, with timeless ancient values. That is why you have Singal in Parliament today.
Yes.
That is why you have Singal in Parliament today. That is why...
Just below the Ashoka Chakra, another big symbol.
Absolutely.
So you think this is this marriage of India being an ancient civilization with also being, the fastest growing economy in the world.
That is the power of the market. I'm saying that in the soft power, Prime Minister has changed the content part also. Forms are there, tourism is there, Incredible India is there, everyone is aware of those things, as you mentioned G20, but G20 is also to do with the collapse of United Nations and Prime Minister's understanding that he needs to move the levers of the world through G20, there's another strong, so G20 also has another element, soft plus hard power, because UN has failed, or you can say that the powers have failed UN. But then Prime Minister has also changed the content of soft power, which is India being a civilizational state. And if you go through his speeches, rallies, the words he has started to use, for example, Ram Raj in Parliament, or before the session.
India is now Bharat.
Bharat. India being a civilizational state is being pursued very strongly, even in Jaishankar's book. And I'll close my argument there. He says that, we also inherit Western terminology, crossing the Rubicon, Trojan horse. He says, no one says Panipat movement, the Awadh syndrome.
Absolutely.
And Awadh syndrome best, any quotes the famous film of Satyajit Ray.
Yes. And in fact, in Marathi, it's there in Marathi, the Panipat syndrome, Panipat Jhale. It means we, experienced a catastrophic defeat.
And there's something funny about this.
Language.
Since we're
like
talking
Nakba
about
in Arabic for Palestine.
For Palestine.
Yes.
At the G20 summit, Sandeep, we all saw this, that, the Prime Minister's, for example, name card actually said Prime Minister of Bharat.
Yes.
The invite that was sent out to the foreign dignitaries by the President of India said Bharat.
Right.
And, the slogan was Vasudev Kutumbakam, the world is one family, something India's espoused for a very long time. But would you believe China had an objection to it? They actually raised an objection to it.
Sanskrit is not a language that's recognized by the United Nations.
Sanskrit is not a recognized UN language, is what they said.
Again, that is issue the civilizational soft power. But I think there's another very strong wheel of this soft power, Kartik. And that soft power is our techies abroad. That soft power is the nature of our economy. Some people can say it's not hardware, it's the software, but the software is also a soft power, isn't it?
I mean, see, you've had techies ever since the IT revolution started, and early 1980s is actually when we saw this bunch of Indian IT companies, largely service providers, Infosys, HCL, Wipro, etc., take on to this IT revolution which was kick-starting. But again, I think, if you look at it from the context of techies abroad and the stereotypes that have been associated with Indian techies abroad, that is not something that we as a nation have challenged. which is where soft power needs to play a crucial role. I'm not really, don't get me wrong, I don't want to say that, there should be more censorship of the kind of content which is making waves internationally. But again, to give you examples from popular culture, let's look at the film that Sridevi acted in, English Winglish.
Yes.
I think it fairly beautifully, in my opinion, married the phenomena of Indian leadership, a woman who's trying to make a living in a country where Hindi is not a language well understood, and really wants to learn that language and make an impression at the wedding which was coming up. But a completely contrarian example to that could be the very popular sitcom series called The Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
I mean, why is Raj Nair, whatever his screen name is, somebody who pretty much shows the world what India is not? Right. You have a man who's unable to speak to a woman without having a beer. Or you have a man who's actually, not confident about his origins and the stereotypes that are associated with his character, his parents wanting him to get married early. These are things that we need to start challenging with the kind of content that we put out in the international market and in the domestic market as well.
Streaming on News9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.